Hey everyone, I am here with Beth Z. She goes by Beth Z. Her name is Beth Ziesenis. She's your nerdy best friend. You can go to yournerdybestfriend.com. That's her website. She is an author, speaker, and a complete tech geek. And she is like the app person, the go-to person for apps. In fact, she has a book called The Bigger Book of Apps that you can grab from her website. We just recorded a couple episodes of the podcast, and I'm super excited to have her for this conversation. Beth, what's going on?
Gosh, I'm so excited to be here. And by be here, I mean to be in my house for the third month in a row. So I guess, okay. Yeah, not sure I'm really excited about that, but I'm excited to be here with you.
I'm excited to have you here. We had some great conversations about apps and all of that fun stuff. And it's not just you, though, in your house, right? It's you and your husband. How many cats do you have?
That's, you know, I kind of have to none of this is my fault. Okay. So we have 5.5 cats, no, 4.5 cats.
What's a half a cat?
Well, the house came with a cat.
Ah,
So I'm not sure if I can claim that cat, but
it's like a community cat.
yeah, we had copy and paste, and then copy died, and so we had to get carbon copy, and carbon copy had a sister. So her name is Roxy Proxy, and their last name is #the replacements. And then we have Mr. Spock, and he adopted us. So we have the original paste, carbon copy, Roxy Proxy, and Mr. Spock. And then there's a cat in the garage who is shaped like a ball, and we call him Peanut Butter. Chunky peanut butter, but peanut butter.
Right into my next question. Crunchy or creamy? What do you prefer?
Oh, crunchy for sure, but he's chunky. Mm.
No, not, oh, him. He's chunky, but you prefer crunchy.
Yeah.
That's good. That's good. You know, I was up in the air on that. This whole quarantine thing, right? That happened, and you like order out groceries. And so typically I order creamy peanut butter, and I got 2 jars, but somehow when they shipped me the groceries, they snuck a crunchy in there. So when I looked at it, like I'm not that big of I'm not going to not eat it, right? It's peanut butter. So I thought I'm going to eat the crunchy first. That way I have the creamy to look forward to because I thought I was a creamy person. And now that I'm almost out of the crunchy jar, I'm like, man, I wish I had another jar of crunchy.
To take this conversation about 2 minutes too far, I have a husband who he's an Ironman, and he went through a very severe nutritional insanity. And so he started getting sunflower butter and almond butter and all these things without sugar and without salt and without taste. And I'm sad for the years that he went through the sunflower butter area. And I don't know how many followers you have who are strict sunflower butter people, but I'm sorry for them because it's not good.
Yeah, in fact, I was to kind of take that to the next level. I was talking to someone yesterday. I was texting someone. You probably hear my puppy in the background. We had a whole thing with that on the podcast. He just got groomed and got back, so he's wound up. So forgive that. But in any case, I was talking to someone the other day, and they're like, because I used to be a chef, and they were like in the text thread, we were talking about podcasting stuff, and they were like, well, you're probably cooking right now because it was the weekend. And I was like, actually, I have bacon that I'm making right now for breakfast. And they're like, I haven't had bacon in probably 10 years. And my response was, I'm so sorry for you.
Yeah.
That was all I could think of. It was like, could you imagine not having bacon for 10 years?
I did not. I worked one day in an overnight shift at a bacon factory.
Oh, that's interesting.
I'm not going to go into details because I don't want to ruin bacon. I'm back on bacon, but it did take multiple years.
Oh, it
But
caused
now I'm
some.
on keto, so I get to
How do
eat
you do
bacon.
keto without bacon? You can't, right?
No, you can't. And why you would do it during the quarantine is beyond me, because what if I get sick and something happens and then I've never had another cupcake in my entire life because I was on keto?
Mm-hmm.
This is my fear.
Yeah, I mean, if a life without cupcakes is not a life that I want to be part of, really.
No, no.
But anyway, let's talk a little bit about apps because that's what you're here for. I mean, we could talk about bacon all day and all that. But by the way, bacon, that just triggered something else. My girlfriend, believe it or not, is not a huge fan of bacon. which I'm okay with because whenever we go out to breakfast, I get double the bacon because that's not her thing. So that's why I'm okay with it, among other things. But she found this thing. It was like carrot bacon. And I saw this and people are making like they're shaving carrots, putting like liquid smoke and seasonings on it, and then dehydrating it until it gets crispy. And it kind of looks like bacon. It's supposed to taste like bacon. And I'm like up in the air about that. I'm like, if that's what'll get you to eating bacon and it's okay, then I'm okay with that. But for me, give me real bacon. Like, I don't know how to feel about that. I was curious how you feel about that, about carrot bacon.
Do you see my face? My face says no. No, if you can't have sunflower butter, the sunflower seed butter, you can't have carrot bacon. It's
Yeah,
no.
I
But
agree
that's,
with you. I'm
I
right with
mean,
you.
come on. There are some people who are really, really into the alternative and the highly nutritious foods. And if they would like to have those pieces and parts, I was a vegetarian for a while as well, and I wasn't into the foods that looked like the foods that I was substituting, right? So I didn't like want carrot bacon. I wanted carrots, right? So that kind of thing doesn't appeal to me. But I don't want to give people who are into those kind of nutritional pieces a bad name or look down upon them. I have done it. I've done all the kale and salmon I am ever going to do. But if my husband wants to go on that craziness again, or your girlfriend or whatever, more power to him.
Yeah,
Just no over here.
I feel like, people are saying, well, why not just eat the real bacon? But what about the carrot? Like, I like carrots. And I think if you try to turn carrot into bacon, you're telling the carrot it's not good enough being just a carrot.
Right?
Yeah.
Right? Now, carrot in the cake, that's a different story.
I like some carrot cake, especially with
Yeah.
some golden raisins in it and cream cheese frosting. I can do that.
Mario, I'm on keto, so can we change the subject
Yeah.
now?
Let's talk about apps because you're the app person. And let me ask you this. What's the latest and greatest app that you find yourself using the most these days?
I ran across one, and it happened, I think, in 2019. I don't think it was in 2018, but I have been really enjoying an app called Jumbo,
Mm.
Jumbo, and it's all about security, right? So it scans. I think it does a daily scan and then a weekly report of all of my Facebook posts and all of my Google privacy settings and um, my name on the dark web. And that is the free version. And it scans these things to help me, number one, be aware of my privacy issues. And number two, change some settings and do some things that I wasn't aware of and that I didn't take the time to do. And it does it automatically. So I am liking it. Now, they have a really hard sell for their pro version. And when I recommended it on my newsletter last week, a couple of people were like, well, it looks like I have to pay. And I'm like, there's a free version there. So, but they've got to make a living some way. Not everybody is a trust fund baby who is just doing this for fun. But I really respect what they're doing, and I find it very helpful.
Yeah, privacy is super important these days. I mean, you've got to be careful. I mean, because when we put our stuff out on social media, I mean, we kind of forego a lot of privacy things because we're sharing so much. But at the same time, there's a fine line there between sharing what we want to share and safety.
Well, my point is just be aware of what you're doing, right? Because everybody says, oh, they know too much. Well, they know too much because you have set the settings so that they can know too much. And it doesn't matter to any of us if they know too much, as long as we're aware of what they're knowing and make the conscientious decision. Like, for example, Google will track every single place I go and every single picture, and it'll draw a day. I love it. Like I described this one day where I was speaking around the corner. Really, I'm here in Nashville, or right outside of Nashville, and I was speaking at the right next to the at the Grand Ole Opry Hotel, And after that, I met a good friend of mine, another speaker who happened to be in town, and we met at a coffee shop and we took some pictures. And then on the way home, I stopped at another place. And then beyond that, I went home and I took some pictures at our house. And Google said, you started here. You were 16 minutes from home. And then you went to this coffee shop. It named the coffee shop. It put it with the pictures. It talked about the friend I had, and it classified everything, and it made this whole timeline. You drove for 16 minutes, you stopped at this gas station. It knew all of that. Now, I find that fascinating, but I know it's doing it, and I use that information to show all my travels when I used to travel. But if you don't know it's doing it and you have allowed that permission, then it is tracking everywhere you go, and it can use that information because probably you've given it permission to use that information as well. So understand what it's doing and then set those parameters, and Jumbo, that app, makes you aware of some of those things that you might not even be aware of.
That's very, very useful to know. And yeah, especially when it can track where you go and when you're there and all of that stuff. There's some things that you just want to keep to yourself, right?
Uh, yeah, some places you go where you don't want. And now, internet history is another thing that I'm very sensitive about. And DuckDuckGo is absolutely one of the best things. If you don't want people to know where you go, then you go there. This is combating the problem of, you think, gosh, like today, I was like, gosh, I would like a hammock. And so I was searching for hammocks. But because of some of the settings I have on my computer, I will not see hammock ads from on my computer. I will not see hammock ads. Now, if I search on my phone, I don't have all the protections enabled on my phone. And if I were to search on my phone, I would see hammock ads all over Facebook and everywhere else. But on my computer in my Chrome browser, I've got the settings set so that they don't they don't bombard me with hammock ads for the rest of my days.
I think the thing that freaks me out the most about the whole ads thing is when you don't even search for anything. You're just talking about it with a friend and Big Brother's listening on your phone. And then all of a sudden, oh, look, there's ads for this. It's like, there's something, they're always listening. Is there something
Yeah.
creepy about that? I mean, I get it from a marketing perspective. I mean, if that's like a tool that is like, wow, now I can market to people who are just talking about my products. But there's like a line that's, I feel like, has been crossed there.
Well, I have, things may change, but I've listened to a few podcasts and seen some research about whether that is absolutely true. And according to the last things I read, which were at least 6 months old, it's a perception we have, but it's not something that's true. Now, maybe you and your friend talked about walnuts, and then that friend went and searched for walnuts. And because you're having these relationships with them and they know you were hanging out together, that kind of thing, maybe that's how they put it together. But they're not, but they say that they're not, and I'm doing all that in air quotes, listening to you. That could change. Now, here is something that was happening. There were some kids apps, and you know how you go through and it says, we would like permission to have your microphone, we would like to have permission, all these kind of things. Well, a lot of things were asking for those permissions that they didn't need them. And there were a few kids apps that would have recording rights, right? So the kids were playing, the app was recording the sounds and listening to the sounds in the house. So they were listening to what the kid was watching on TV while they were playing with their second screen. This was happening. And there was a New York Times study of multiple apps, like the Weather Channel was selling your geographic data. I think it was the Weather Channel. Y'all don't write in and say it was the weather something, but the weather app was recording your locations and selling that information to advertisers without your explicit permission. It was an implied permission, but it wasn't your explicit permission. And it doesn't matter if they ask your permission, because frequently we just yes, 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 scroll through those screens very quickly. One of the things that, I'm talking too much, but one of the things that GDPR, the strict data information that came from England or came from Europe, imposed on us, was that we have the right. Sometimes it says we're going to ask all these permissions and we want to do all these things. Do you accept? When you go to a website, do you accept? Well, believe it or not, you can say I want to see them, and you can choose some of the ones that it does, or you can deny them. And I'm not exactly sure how this works, but if you explore that, you can see that some of the things you don't have to give them permission for, and they want it because they want to sell to you, but they have to disclose all that.
That's interesting. I mean, a lot of these things, it feels like it's all or nothing, and they give you so much legal mumbo jumbo and so much text that it's like, like for me, and I'll be completely honest. I know this probably is something bad to say, but I don't think I'm in the minority. I don't remember the last time I read one of those agreements from top to bottom. When I install a new piece of software or I do something, it's like, you must agree to the policies. I just click agree. I don't read all that stuff. So I don't know what a lot of that is saying, but I mean, to me, it feels like it's all or nothing. Like if I disagree, I can't use the product and I want to use it. But if I click agree, then it's up in the air.
Well, they are trying to change that so you can fine tune what you want to agree to. And there are some minimum things, like if you're doing a Otter, which does recording, you're going to have to give it microphone permission. But you can drill down to some of those other things it's asking for, because it is asking for things to market to you, especially on websites. You're supposed to have, y'all, I don't have it on mine. Don't go there and judge me, because I just haven't done it yet. But
This
we're
is a
supposed to
judgment-free
all
zone.
have
So
the cookie thing at the bottom that says, when you come here, here's what we're doing. Um, and the good news is I never follow up on anybody who's coming to my website, but every once in a while I look at the overall traffic, and you can opt out of being a part of that overall traffic. And you can like take away some of those permissions, or you could if I followed the rules. But you can do that with other sites, and then you can block the ads and block the tracking like I do using I use, let me get the exact name for us, because this is very important. I use Ad Block Plus.
mm-hmm.
There are unscrupulous, stupid ad blockers that like steal the data that they're supposed to be blocking. Yeah. So you have to be very careful. And Ad Block Plus, some people like, and some people say it's weak. And then there's some built into some of the browsers now. But just being aware of them, like we started talking about with Jumbo, being aware of the concepts that they're asking for and why they're asking for them. Frankly, if you don't give them any guidance on ads, you're going to get a Viagra ad. Whether or not
Are you
you're
talking to me or everyone? Because Beth,
everyone,
okay,
I get,
this
because
got
of
real
this
personal real
sometimes.
fast.
I get Viagra ads sometimes because they're not able to see what I'm interested in. And so they're like, well, we're just going to show you some very popular ads. I don't really know if it's Viagra ads, but from real, I got a vasectomy clinic ad once, and I'm like, not your target market here. But they don't know that because I've been hiding it. So if you like, all right, I'm shopping for a hammock and I want to see some ads and specials for hammocks. Well, there you go. Then by blocking all those things, they're not going to be able to find you because you've told them not to find you.
It reminds me of that, because we talked about this a little bit on the podcast, and you go way back with technology, and I remember technology as well from that time. I wasn't probably as involved as you were, but it reminds me back in the day on the old Windows systems, the Norton antivirus software. Remember that stuff? Like
Oh
I
yeah.
had it on all the computers, but I never really knew what it did. And it seemed like whenever I would upgrade it, it would cause more trouble than it would actually be antivirus. Maybe that was just my experience, but it kind of reminds me of that when you're looking for different ad blockers and different things, but you have to like weed through to find one that actually does its job.
Oh yeah, it causes me problems all the time. I had to uninstall. I think I finally settled on Bitdefender, and I had to uninstall it because when I was writing my book, because it kept on like blocking all kinds of things that I really wanted to try out. And my AdBlock Plus does it all the time. I have to disable it to use the scripts that for the online websites. And so sometimes people forget that they have those enacted and they go to a site and it doesn't work. And they're like, oh, the site doesn't work and it's horrible. But it's because you've got all kinds of things that are blocking some functionality that have to be there. And so it's always good to look at the top of your browser to see if there are any little X's or any little things like you've got pop-up blockers and you have to accept something before you go to the next one. I have all ads blocked, but sometimes like it blocks some, the functionality, like search functionality, like basic functionality. And I'm like, crap. So that's the first. Can I say crap? Probably.
You can say crap. Crap is.
Oh, good.
It's good.
Some of those things that are the reason I went to that site.
It reminds me too, really quickly, I just want to bring this up because when you were talking about this, it reminded me of this. I've been, of course, all of us have been probably during this quarantine stuff, doing a lot of shopping on Amazon. And it's funny because I'll look something up on Amazon, but then I'll go look at the reviews. And even if it's something I know that I want, you have to be careful because they'll position it as a product, but it's really a knockoff. Have you seen
Oh,
that? And it's like,
that's a
why do I
whole
have
different
to,
world.
why do we have to go through that? Like if it's supposed to be what it is, just make it what it is. I would rather pay the original price and get what I want than save $10 and get something that's that's a knockoff.
And then you've got the fake review problem, which is
That's the other thing.
ginormous
Yes.
on the App Store. And, you've got fake negative reviews, you've got fake positive reviews, and you can kind of tell, but there are, I forgot the name of it. I wasn't as prepared for that question. But there are some apps and tools that can analyze the reviews on a page to tell you if they are fake. And I really scour them when I'm buying things. I'm sorry, I did get my hair cut during the coronavirus, but uh, finally when our thing came up, but apparently I didn't get enough cut off because I keep doing that because I can't see anything. Um, but you can get something that'll analyze those reviews because it looks like it's got 20,000 positive reviews and you're like, great, but you have to really dig deep and see because especially electronics and kitchen gadgets, all these things, because yeah, people suck.
That would be super helpful to have that type of thing because like everything looks legit, right? They make it that way. But then when you look at it, and then that's what makes me double check. When I'm looking at the reviews, it makes me think, is this really a knockoff?
Yeah,
Or is this just someone saying that because they want to sell me the knockoff and this is the real thing? So then you start with all these crazy scenarios in your head. And then you go down that rabbit hole of, are they just saying that? So it's like the double negative thing. Are they saying that so then I don't buy their thing because they want me to buy their thing and then I buy their thing? And it's a mess.
it's a mess.
But what isn't a mess is the apps that you present and the book that you have, the bigger book of apps. Do you want to talk about your book for a minute before we go?
Oh, wait a minute. This book?
That book.
Ta-da.
I like the
Hey,
cover.
so this is not everything I know, but it's pretty much everything I know. It's 569 apps and tech
Wow.
tools that I've collected, and I probably went through 3 or 4,000 to come up with the 569 that I chose to recommend. So it's the best thing I've ever put together, and buy it now because it's going to go out of style.
Are you working on the next one?
I'm sorry, Mario. That's all the time we have for today. Yeah,
Time
I'm not
flies when you're
sure.
having fun.
It's the bigger book of apps. There may be a biggest book of apps, but the world is changing so quickly and our focus has changed so quickly, and I don't know where our focus is going to be, and so I will figure out our focus. This one just came out. It's 2020, so I'm tired and not writing one right
I'm
now.
sure you are. I was just curious because you said that, there is on technology, it moves fast.
Yes. So
So
usually I come out with one every 2 years.
that's cool. Very good stuff. YourNerdyBestFriend.com is where you can find Beth Z and grab a copy of the Bigger Book of Apps. So go there, do that. Beth, thank you so much for being on the podcast, for doing this. I had so much fun talking with you about technology, apps, cupcakes, bacon, everything. And I can't wait to do it again soon.
Thanks so much.